Yo, what up? Welcome to another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. I'm Patrick, and once again, after a brief hiatus, I'm back, and I'm joined by my good friend Vubang. What's up, Vubang?
What's up, Patrick? I'm only joining because you said this is going to be an all quit and post podcast. That's the reason why I'm
Yeah,
here.
we give the people what they want, and we're the people. So,
Yeah. Where's he from again? Sweden or Norway? We're going to give the entire country
he's Dutch.
what they want. Dutch. Yeah. What country is that again? Deutschland? Okay, let's move on.
Don't make me do any edits to this. Okay. Uh, but yeah, it's been a minute. Like we last had an episode. I haven't even done any solo episodes, but we last did an episode right after the All-Star break, before the game started up again. And man, I expected them to be better, and I expect them to be decently better, but not this much better this quickly. It does help that they've played some poor teams, and other teams around them have kind of slid a little bit. They've had their own rough patches, so they've moved up to six right now. Man, what you think about all this?
I mean, we live in a world right now where the only thing we can talk about is the Philadelphia loss. Like that's literally the only, if we could sit around the world where the one loss in the middle of this would have been a great winning streak is just losing to a Philadelphia team that wanted to lose. It's pretty crazy how much I think things have changed since the All-Star break.
Yeah, yeah, and that was a game that Jimmy Butler missed. They've only lost one game with him in the lineup, and that was that random Dallas game before the break. So, but they play who's in front of them, whether the team is hurt or whether the team is going through a rough patch. And as this Philly game showed, anybody can beat anybody. But I don't know. How you feeling? How you feel? Like, I go back to our preseason predictions, and we definitely didn't predict what this roster would look like at this point. But I mean, for the hell of it, like you predicted sixth, I predicted fifth. You know what I mean? And here we are.
I mean, things could not have gotten any better. I feel like we have clearly benefited from the early winning streak. And also, I can't believe we made up from the lost time of, I guess it's November through January of all those losses. I think, in terms of timing, like definitely peaking at the right time. I don't like the fact that we're sort of middle in the pack of strength of schedule moving forward. Denver and Milwaukee back to back, and then still seeing Lakers, Denver, Houston, Clippers at the end. Not great, but I think six is great. I think at this point we can just definitely be greedy and try to play ourselves out of a Lakers or Nuggets first round, which will be ideal. So we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. I mean, at this point, it's like it's still too early to worry about that for me, because especially with three injured dudes, old dudes, and then Kuminga gonna come back from injury, apparently against the Kings Thursday night, which I'm excited for. Just squirrel away as many wins as possible, because just a little, ankle tweak or a sore back spasms from one of these vets, and then we're looking at some tough roads ahead. So, like, as we know from the past playoff runs and title runs, you want to be healthy and peaking just right before the playoffs, and we're not there yet, of course, but all signs point to positive. And as I said, like, Kuminga's coming back Thursday. I'm setting expectations, right? Like setting them pretty low. But I mean, you've always been a Kuminga, I'll say, skeptic. Uh what are you looking for? And you've also been you said this was going to be the year of Guy Santos, and I mean, you're like Nostradamus, man. I'm like, what the hell? So what do you see as Kuminga's future in the next, say, couple weeks as he gets comfortable?
I do like what Kerr has been saying about the lineup. Like basically, we've had too many guys. I wasn't able to play Moody. I wasn't able to play these guys. But now that we've traded four for one, things have worked themselves out. Which means I do want to figure out the Justin, the J.K. Moses Moody situation, which has
Hmm.
always sort of been around. Let's see how that goes because I mean Moody is what 16-1 or some crazy number when he starts, and
Hmm.
Kuminga is coming back from. I can't believe it's been 2 months. Like I feel like high ankle sprains are something that we've always been following with Steph, but like gone for 2 months. So we'll see how he comes back into the comes it back in. But I mean, I heard Jimmy Butler has been talking to him and making him feel pretty good about it, about getting back in the lineup.
Yeah, I mean, I can't believe it's been 31 games, and I don't think it was a high ankle sprain, and I don't think Steph's ever had high ankle sprains. It's always just been ankle sprains.
Uh,
And with Kuminga, I'm guessing it's just erring on the side of extreme caution, and they've been rolling, so they're not pushing it. And obviously, reports have said that, like, he they thought he would come back a little bit sooner, but sometimes it'd be swelling, sometimes whatever, a little discomfort. So we'll see how it goes. I mean, this is a great problem to have, and obviously, like, I'm kind of the opposite of you in terms of viewing Kuminga, and I can't wait to see him back in the lineup. But yeah, I'm very curious to see like how Kerr plays it. I will say the you know uh, with Kerr saying that about now his roster is better, as clarity. Like, I mean, I've said that I said that I think on the last episode, or I've said it a few times. But like, yeah, the roster was confusing before. There were a lot of like mediocre guys who played like the same, you know three or four positions or something, right? And now that they have clarity, and just to reiterate, it's like they have three old heads on the roster, uh, you know, playoff veterans, Hall of Famers. They have three young guys, four with post, who are kind of coming into their own, and then they have three just veteran role players and plug and play with Peyton, Healed, and Looney. So, the roster, it makes sense in terms of like timeline and in terms of like the shape of it. So I dig that. But I mean, I will say like Moody was always good enough to play this many minutes. It's just that you could argue combinations, but it's also like, oh, his hand is forced because there's no one else to play, because he can't turn to Dennis Schroeder, he can't turn to what's his name, Kyle Anderson or something. So uh it's not a huge knock, but like Kerr favors vets, and now he's forced to play Moody, and all of a sudden, like, oh, Moody gets it. Yeah, he was good enough. We know that. We know that. So, I just want to touch upon on that
so you are part
respect.
of the conspiracy theory then, the Reddit conspiracy theory against Kerr. I see. It's not
I mean,
about it's not about
how is it a conspiracy
combinations.
theory? How is it conspiracy
It's
theory?
just that Kerr just for no reason at all does not want to play the young guys, even if they're good enough to start.
I mean, he hasn't, right? He played pods, and that's it. He played pods. He played Anthony Lamb. He
Players that
played
force
Ty
their hand. Some
Jerome.
players force his hand.
Yeah, I
Right.
mean, the Mike Dunleavy and Joe Lacob forced his hand by clearing out the the clutter on the bench. I mean, it's obvious, right? Like, even when Kuminga piped up at the beginning of 2023 or 24, it's like he played well. Remember that? He piped up and he played well. And all of a sudden Kurt's like, oh, he gets it now, or like it's like, it wasn't Kerr's decision. It was like his hand was forced. So, you know what I mean? Like, I'm not saying it's completely one way or the other, but yeah, I think there is some truth to it.
And this is great, being able to force his hand to be able to play the players that we think should play. And that brings me to the Guy Santos situation. I guess I have been
Yeah.
a big Guy Santos fan just because I look at him and I see that he plays really well. He feels like he fits the system from the very beginning. He just wasn't consistent. And so it just felt right. Like, didn't you? I felt like the last time I saw this was with Gary Payton when he was just killing it in the preseason, or was it the season? I forgot which. Yeah, it must have been the preseason. I was like, why are we not keeping this guy? Like, why is he not around more?
I
Like, you
mean,
could just see that he's just a fan. They're like fan favorites.
I'm surprised by Guy Santos. So you had that. If you like, I couldn't tell if you just liked saying the name Guy Santos or if you actually believed he was going to be good. And he's very solid. Like he's one of those guys that you kind of, I mean, last season, right, when they would play a lot of the younger dudes, and he went from him to Lester Quinones and stuff. It's like, oh, it felt like, oh, Guy Santos, oh, he's having some nice moments, but he's not really an NBA player. But props to him for proving it, And hey, Kurt gave him a shot, and he took advantage of it, so I'll give him that as well. But uh yeah, he's a lot sturdier, a lot tougher than I thought he would be. And he's a stronger shooter, which actually I am really impressed by. And obviously that's something that the Warriors desperately needed and continue to need. So it's not gonna go overboard and say it's an embarrassment of riches, but it's good to have options at that level. And also, young dudes, not like inexperienced rookies per se, but like guys who know how to play and are improving. So, it's an option if to go between honestly Kuminga, Moody, uh Guy Santos, if you want to look at the 3-4 spot throughout the game. So I like it. How did you know? How did you predict this?
It was the eye test for one, and I always trust in the uh, the scouting of my favorite Brazilian Warriors basketball player, the Brazilian Blur, but mostly the eye test. I do also want to mention Quinton Post. Um, like
Hmm?
the last few games, he gave up so many open threes. Like I don't know if he remembers, he shoots 41% from three. Like he gave up, by my own count, three wide open threes to pass it to a guy who was clearly covered. I don't know what's going on with him, but between him and Guy Santos fouling way too much, I don't know if these guys, you sort of recognize that they're first years and rookies in really, really weird moments.
Yeah, yeah, that's definitely true. But it's almost with like Post and Santos, it's found money for the Warriors this season. I mean, like Post felt like one of those dudes that we hear about the Warriors pick up or draft, and he becomes this mythological figure. I mean, it's like the Justinian Jessup thing. It's like, oh, they stashed this dude in Australia. He's an amazing shooter. And then when I finally saw him play, I was like, oh, hell no.
So
But
this podcast will now be about Taron Armstrong then for the next 20 minutes. Can I ask you this though? Is Dunleavy now like 5 for 5? I mean, he's
in
batting
the
1,000,
draft,
right? Technically, right? Has
uh,
he picked anybody who hasn't been great?
I mean, great
He's
is
drafted two
is
seasons.
yeah. I mean, he's drafted good NBA players. I mean, I don't know if you want to say everybody's quote unquote great, but like they're all playable and they're all getting action. And I like Dunleavy. Like when people pile on him, I get it, because well, I don't like I get the people that pile on him because they just want something to happen and they want Laurie Marketing, and I'm like, dude, chill, because Dunleavy has proven he is good with talent and he's kind of savvy, and he doesn't panic. He doesn't make a panic move like the 90s Warriors or like fans want to make. So um, I totally, yeah, he's 5 for 5 in terms of draft pick. Santos wasn't his. That was still the Bob Myers era, wasn't it? Wasn't
It
that
was, yeah.
like the Rollins PBJ draft?
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So
uh
23, 24. That means he got Trace, he got
pods
Brandon, he got Quinton Post.
post.
Actually, I think that's it.
I mean, that's still pretty good. And he got
That's
Jimmy
still pretty
Butler,
damn
which
good.
is the big key there. So Dunleavy's. It's like it's hard for me to disassociate Dunleavy, the GM, from Dunleavy, the player back in the day. I mean, he was a good enough, solid player eventually on other teams, but just how he caught so much flack and how he
I,
was not a
I mean,
fan favorite.
if we win the championship this year, like people will be rocking the Dunleavy Warriors jersey. They just will be.
Yeah.
I never thought I would ever say that, but it'll be a
Number
thing.
34. It's been a few weeks now since we talked, and like, where do you think this team is? Like, how good do you think they can be? How good do you think they are? Because it's been we've had several games to see them come together and coalesce. What's their ceiling right now to you?
I mean, I think they're in the second tier of teams that could potentially win, right? And it really just depends on injuries. Like you've seen the most random injuries happen right now between LeBron James and Jalen Brunson. I mean, this is not the OKC, Cleveland, Boston level of team, but that next tier is definitely playable. Like I think the Warriors can beat any team at that level. I don't, but I just don't. I'm just really worried about the Nuggets. And the Lakers. I mean, I'm worried about the Nuggets size and Jokic, and I'm just worried about the Lakers in general. But I mean, even with OKC, I think all they can beat the young guys, these young guys in the playoffs. But I just never thought that it would just be one trade like that can make these changes that can change my mind completely. It's a in some ways it's Jimmy Butler plus addition by subtraction.
Oh,
Just not
absolutely.
having yeah.
Absolutely. Like we were talking about earlier, clearing out the okay, Dennis Schroeder, you're really not that great. And as much as I appreciate and like Wiggins, seems like a great dude and whatnot. We always knew that his ceiling was hit and that he was just going to be what he's going to be, like a defender and a sometimes scorer, not the passer or the leader or somebody who can step up and hit those clutch free throws and whatnot. So like, yeah, absolutely. It's funny because when I see people complain about like this team, they're they have flaws and they're not good enough to win the title, and I'm like, "Ugh, man, come on. I don't know. Maybe it's just me because just that era, that period of November or October, whenever it was, or you said it was like November to January, February, where they were just so bad and boring to watch. Like they weren't the worst team, but they were just so mediocre and so average that, you know, this trade, it's just to me, it's about like when it happened, it was about like the next season, the season after that. But surprisingly, they're they've improved so much that all this is just gravy to me, man. I'm like, this is awesome. I just really want like I would at the very least, I just want a second round appearance. I want them to get to the second round just so that the young guys can get some playoff experience so that, Steph and Draymond and Butler, we can see what those dudes are like. I just want to see something interesting. And I kind of agree with you too, right? Like stay healthy. Like I think the Warriors know from all their experience, like we got to get to the playoffs healthy. We got to fight for position, but we got to get there healthy. And like there's no dominant Warriors era, Bulls era dynasty team, right? So like, okay, yeah, OKC is quote unquote better, right? Like so, like, but let's see it. Let's roll it out. Like the Warriors match up pretty well with OKC. They match up with Houston, and without Anthony Davis, the Lakers don't scare me as much. What scares me is like how many free throws they're going to get if we play them in a series. That would aggravate me. Um, and the Nuggets are always scary, but like not like they're an all-time team, bunch of world beaters, but they'd be tough matchups. But I think the Warriors would still have a chance against anybody.
This is all we could ask for. Like we've been spoiled. Like the new fans have been spoiled by the past 10, 12 years, right? This is all we can ask for to just have a punter's chance at the championship just to be, top. I mean, I can't believe the NBA has the Warriors like fifth overall in the power rankings. This is exactly what Steph has asked for, just to be within chasing distance of a championship. And one other great thing about having Jimmy Butler here is, and this has been said before a bunch of times from other folks, but like Draymond and Steph are just on another level now. Like they were playing like they didn't have a chance at the championship before the All-Star break. They're playing their asses off right now. Like the numbers for Steph with and without, before and after Jimmy Butler, are just totally different. Like he's actually taking more shots and getting more points. Overall, what in the scoring leaders for the NBA right now, like just overall where Steph ranks in the top, I don't know, 15, 20?
Now for the whole season or just
For the whole
recently?
season.
50,
He's
10.
he's 14th. Do you know
Okay.
who the scoring leaders since the All-Star break are? Where Steph is on that list?
He's like top three. I'm guessing.
Yeah, Shea and then Miles Bridges. Gasp, Miles Bridges, and then three Steph. Yeah, pretty crazy. Like we know that he is sprinting at the right time, and this is amazing. This is exactly what he asked for and what he got. So very happy.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I like how you said punter's chance. It's instead of puncher's chance, but like I will also punt. But
Isn't
like
it punter's chance? What did I say? It's supposed to be punter's chance?
uh,
Puncher's chance.
yeah, it's puncher's chance, like
I thought it was
boxing.
a punter's chance. Are you sure?
No, it could be. No, I'm 100% sure. But anyway, while you look that up,
Oh, it's a puncher's chance.
yeah, I didn't want to interrupt you, so I
I know.
decided to bring it
ChatGPT
up.
says it's fine.
Okay, well, ChatGPT is
Oh, there's
hallucinating.
a whole Reddit thread about it. The difference.
All right. Well, like what I love is like, that not only on the court physically they have somebody else who can take the burden off of Steph and Draymond in different things, right? Defensively, passing, um, you know, settling the team, bringing the ball up, running the show, scoring, whatever. It's like I, I have this memory from high school, and when I was playing on the basketball team, and we had two tournaments in one day, or two, so or two games in one day, and so like I remember driving. We drove up. Our team drove up to somewhere in like the North Bay counties or something like someplace random. I don't remember, and we played our tails off, and I think we won, but then like some of the guys on the team had to go home or go do something because it was like a Saturday, and so we get to the next game, and we have six guys, and the other team is like they heard that we played another game. We only have six guys, so they pressed the hell out of us. And I remember looking at the bench and making eye contact with the other guy, who the only other guy we had on the bench, and I just looked so helpless. Like, I just looked like so sad because I was like, I can't like we're gonna get smoked, and we got smoked. I think I bring that up because like just the idea that Steph can go hard as much as he needs to when he wants, which is putting up shots. He doesn't have to save it as much, right? He can always find that extra gear if they need to, but now he knows he doesn't have to completely pace. And it's also just not like an emotional drain to have to like get like a 6 point lead and then come back into the game after taking a breather and you're down by seven. So I think just that mental burden is it's great because like Steph looks happy, and when he's happy, he plays well, and when he plays well, the Warriors usually win, and the Warriors usually win. We're happy, you know. So it's fun, man. I don't know. It's like quote unquote a great time out to bring out uh, the old classics, you know. So
this is
no
all
more
we
Mr. Nice Guys.
this is all we could ask for. I'm very excited about the homestand. There's also, I can't believe every time I look up at the standings, I'm just drooling at going after Memphis and Houston just a few games back. But I keep looking up, and the Timberwolves are just half a game behind. Like I feel
Yeah,
like they have not had the same record as us, but they're still just lurking and lurking.
yeah,
So
yeah,
we'll
yeah.
see.
They've turned the corner on their season a little bit, But that's what I'm saying. Like it's it's uh it's great to think about like, oh, who to avoid in a playoff matchup, but like you still got like teams like nipping at your heels and stuff like that. So the main goal is to not fall out of six. So if you win a bunch and you end up in fifth and you don't like the matchup, then that's fine. But they're 3 games behind the Rockets for fifth and 4 behind the Grizz. I mean, that's immensely. I mean, it's doable, right? It's not. It depends on if those teams start trending upwards, or if they flatten, or if they streak downwards. So, I think it's gonna be. I think it'll be fun. But the other thing is, like, I don't worry about the Clippers, the Kings, or the Mavericks. I mean, obviously not the Mavericks. Seems like no one wants that 10th spot. Mavericks, 11th is Suns, 12th is the Blazers. Gross, man. Like that's not a happy place to be. I don't know. I feel like I feel like they should just vacate the 10th spot or something this season.
It's really sad. Like 8 through 11 between Clippers, Kings, Mavs, Suns. Like their immediate future is terrible, but like the long term future is also really terrible. I feel really bad for
Yeah,
those teams.
I mean, like the Kings, man, they got rid of their coach, who, at least from the outside looking in, like, we love Mike Brown. I don't know if the fans up there like them. And then they lost their best player in the trade. Like, I haven't really studied all the reasons why, but like, well, this kind of young, fun, promising team is now a little bit older, and who knows? I mean, I'm not.
This
This
has
is not a
happened. I mean,
Kings
that we can go
podcast.
on the we can suddenly switch to Kings podcast, but the last time they had 3 amazing guards, and then this time having 3 amazing guards, all 6 have been gone. Like we can go back to how the Kings have always been like heavy on guards for one moment and just completely out of guards the other. But I just can't believe they turned Fox and Halliburton to I don't know who the heck they ended up with, other than I guess Sabonis and some change. But this is they
Sabonis and
basically are the West. They're the West Coast Bulls, basically. So good on them.
yeah, and they got 2 former Bulls on their team, right? They got Zach LaVine and
I was
DeMar
in
DeRozan.
Sacramento this weekend. I saw a guy with a brand new DeRozan jersey. He seemed very proud of it, the purple DeRozan jersey, and I was like, man, if I had to be that guy.
Was he, how proud of it was he? Was he like, being like pulling it up like this and like being like,
Oh, he was walking.
Sacramento,
He was walking. I mean, he was
DeRozan?
walking to a game that was like still like 4 hours away. So I think he was pretty proud.
Oh man, that's awesome. What else? What else? You got any other thoughts?
Ah, man, I don't know. Are you excited about Thursday's game,
Oh,
the
totally. I
Boston?
mean, Kuminga, as much as I love Steph and I love I've seen Butler do his thing and the young guys and all that stuff. Uh, Kuminga is the player that I tune in to watch the most at this right now, because I just like seeing homegrown talent, like seeing if he can how he progresses. So like, I know that he'll be rusty and not in the best condition when he comes back off the bench versus the Kings tomorrow, but Thursday night. But yeah, I'm gonna have to tune into that one and see how it goes.
And I'm curious what your prediction is for the Monday, Tuesday, Denver, Milwaukee back to back. I think that's a cruel
Yeah,
scheduling issue. But
Giannis is back, right?
yeah, did you
Right.
see him
Okay.
yesterday? Like, and giving Halliburton a 4 point play. He fouled Halliburton on a fadeaway three and
No,
lost the game.
no, no. Um, no, I
It
did
was great.
not,
You should
but
look it up. Halliburton shot a fadeaway three, and Giannis landed on him, and
yeah,
they iced him because they had to review it, and he still made the 4 point play.
yeah. I think they'll go 1-1 in those games. Yeah, I just do. Um, I honestly, like, if they go 2-0 in those games, then the rest
Then
of
they're
the league
trying
is
too
going to raise
hard.
an
They're
eyebrow.
just trying too hard. Please don't try that hard.
Yeah. Because here's the thing, right? It's like they're 2 home games and 2 home games on a back-to-back. Like, that feels like an oddity. Um, but I think that, I mean, if you had to pick one. Which one would you want to win
I mean,
if they're
I would want to win the Milwaukee game because I don't want to show too many cards to Denver. Like I hope we don't throw everything at Denver. Like I want it to be
yeah.
still I still want to save stuff for the playoffs.
Yeah, I want to be Denver because I think it would go a long ways for their confidence. And even, fans like, you're worried about Denver in the playoffs. Um, I think it'll be good, and it'll show people that the Warriors are a little bit more legit. Milwaukee, like I don't worry about too much. Um, but I would take the Denver game just to kind of, it's far enough out away from playoffs to me at least that it's a little bit of a statement to beat Denver. But
Because we got
it's
Denver
a
again in April.
yeah, exactly. So it's a bit of a it's a back to back. So I I'm curious if anybody sits on one of those nights, or if they decide to sit against Milwaukee, or if they beat Denver and then decide to sit. I'm curious about that. But I would take Denver right now at this point because I think it would help with the mojo, and it might help with who knows, they're not going to end up tied with Denver, but like who knows who they could end up tied with in the final standings, and maybe you know Western Conference records makes a difference. I have no idea, but that's just my personal preference. But either way, looking at the rest of the schedule for the season, there's some bumps in terms of decent teams, but for the most part, it's not bad, man. It is not bad going all the way. You got Denver, you got Milwaukee, and before that, we get the Knicks on Saturday. But after that, it's like what? Toronto, Atlanta, Miami, New Orleans, San Antonio. Then you get Memphis, then you get Lakers, then you get Denver, you get Houston. But
That's great. Is
none,
two out of the three games at the end are against teams that probably want to be in the lottery.
yeah, exactly. And who knows where like the Suns will be at that point, but they'll probably still be scrapping for like a playing position. But and then the Clippers, So yeah, I mean that's the thing. Like if this is what as you said, what Steph wants, what we want, like he wants to play meaningful basketball and be relevant. We want to watch interesting, meaningful basketball, and you know honestly, like Dunleavy and Lacob gave it to us. So for all the people that talk hella trash, there's that. So
For all the people that
uh,
talk trash, this is what it's like to be a good team in the NBA.
yeah.
Like if you could give me a team that is of this quality every single year versus a team that is like number one or number three, but has to drop down out of the playoffs into tankathon for a few years and come back up, I would pick this team every year just to be able
Oh
to
yeah.
watch.
Yeah. I mean, and not to bring up the Luca trade so much, but it's like, what's his name? Nico Harrison's talking about we want to win a title in the next 3 to 4 years. And I'm like, thankfully the Warriors don't think that way, because when you have like this long continuity and you have four titles and two more and six overall finals runs, it's like you see the forest for the trees. You know what I mean? It's not like I want to get a title and then get fired. It's like it's not the 97 Marlins, which I feel like I've invoked that team in past episodes, but like it's like this longer trajectory, this longer plan, not just trying to knock one out so you can have one. It's like there's more to it, and and that's why I can appreciate Steph and Draymond saying what they said when they caught so much flack about like not making a hasty or bad move or panic move or anything like that. So, you know, uh, I'm looking forward to it, man. And if
In the
Kuminga
end,
starts, yeah.
yeah, in the end, the Warriors and even the Lakers were right to not make a move, a crazy move, and put all their poker chips in. And then
Hmm.
they both ended up with the player that I think was exactly what they needed.
Hmm. Hmm.
If they were hasty at any other moment, we would have ended up with God knows what.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, the Luca thing, that's just a unique thing, so I won't give the Lakers or Pelinka too much credit for that. But with the Warriors, it's like, yeah, I didn't want Butler over the summer. I didn't want him throughout this season. And then in December, I was like, I don't want him, especially, I mean, the main thing was because the assets we'd have to give up. But as I said after the trade and probably again after the All-Star break, to get Butler and keep Kuminga, to get anybody of that caliber who's still, even though he's older, is still like very, very solid and very good, and keep, your best young player. That was going to be like, I'm like, good, good. They waited, and the Warriors waited, and they had to go with their plan B, which is Jimmy Butler, and then the Heat waited, and they gave up Butler for probably less than they would have gotten otherwise. So that's why you wait. But anyway, cool, man. Any last thoughts? I'm about to get out of here, reaching the peak of my editing
Just yes or
abilities.
no. Do you think we're gonna get playoff Jimmy?
Yes, I have no reason to say no. And the other thing is, like, we don't need playoff Jimmy, hopefully, every game. It's not going to have to be like him on Miami where he has to keep dropping like 30, 40 or something like that. It's going to be like, hey, we need a little pick me up. Can you get 25? You know what I mean? So, yeah. But man, I will say this too. I think it's been a while. Like, uh, man, Klay Thompson just like goes to decides it doesn't go to his like home team as a kid, his Lakers. He goes to the Western Conference champs uh as a in a trade, and then they trade their best player for a guy who plays 31 minutes, gets hurt, and then their next best player, Kyrie Irving, goes out for the season with an ACL. And it's like, wait a second, Klay Thompson, are you the best player on this team now? Like, man. And then he's watching the Warriors talk about they need a third star, and it's like, hey, here's your third star. And it's Jimmy Butler. And the whole time Clay used to be the third star. So, love Clay. That must kind of, as a competitive person, that must stick in his
I mean,
craw.
his latest quote was, "I'm here. I'm here to stay, to build this team, and I'm here." I think his exact quotes were like, "I'm here, and I'm here for another 2 years too." Like he just went and looked at his contract and just looked, like literally was like, "How many more years am I here?" Oh yeah, that's right, 2 years.
Yeah, I mean, he's a loyal dude for the most, in general. Yeah. So like he's I got nothing against Clay. I love Clay. So like he says those are the right things to say, and Lord knows he can't really say too much else. At least he's not going like he's all Eeyore or something like that, or getting all
Do you
down in
think?
the dumps
Do you think
about
he
it.
could have gone to the Lakers? Would they have signed him with the money that they had? Probably would have had been less,
Um,
right?
I mean, people thought he could go to the Lakers. Yeah, I mean, like I think Lakers fans were trying to get him to come by, but you know, I think it was a lot of people thought he could end up there. I don't know if it would have been trade or what or free agent signing or whatever, but wait, for the Mavs, was it a sign and trade or was it just he signed straight up?
It ended
He
up
just
being
signed
like a
straight up.
crazy sign. No, but it was going to be a straight up signing, but it ended up being like a crazy 7 6 team deal just to get all the
Okay,
numbers to
yeah,
work.
yeah. So, you know. But yeah, man, cool. Thank you for coming on once again with your uh insights that have been, bubbling over for 3 weeks. So I'll check you out soon.
See you later.
All right. Well, that is another episode of the Oakland Warriors podcast. Be sure to subscribe wherever you get your podcast. Check out our YouTube channel where you can watch this episode, youtube.com/Oakland Warriors. Check us out at oaklandwarriors.com and be sure to tell your fellow Warrior fan friends to tune in and listen. And if you're so inclined, please do leave us a 5-star rating on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. And if you want to leave us a nice review saying good stuff about the show on Apple Podcasts, that would be hugely appreciated and it would be very, very helpful. Thanks. That's it.
Music in this episode provided by Paper Sun. Special thanks to Paul Amardo for production support. See you next time, and go Dubs.